Good morning, students. Today let us continue the class discovery of protons. Protons are always positively charged particles. Okay, in an atom, protons are always positively charged particles. Electrons are always negative charge. Okay, and the neutrons are neutral. There is no proton and there is no positive and negative charges. It is always neutron. So the discovery, how the who discovered the protons and what are the characteristics of protons, that all we are going to say in this. Okay, last class we studied about the cathodes and the properties of cathode. Now, the presence of positively charged particles in the atom has been precisely predicted by the Goldstein based on the conception that the atom, being electrically neutral in nature, should necessarily possess positively charged particles to balance the negatively charged electrons. So, to balance in an atom, to balance the positivity for negativity, there should be a positive charge also. The Goldstein, he is a scientist, he founded that there should be some positivity, then only it will become a balanced in an atom. Okay, when the negativity electrons are there, the same thing, the positivity should be there in an atom. So then only the neutral will be there. If then positive and negative, then both the this thing will be there, only it will come as a neutral. So when there is a negativity, the positivity should be there. Goldstein repeated the cathode ray experiment by using perforated cathode. On applying high voltage under low pressure, he observed a faint red glow on the wall behind the cathode. So when he perforated cathode rays was passed, he found that faint means very feeble red glow at the back of the cathode. Since these rays originated from the anode, they were called anode rays. Since it was produced from the anode, on the positive side, so it was called as the anode rays or canal rays or the positive rays. So he named, since it was coming from the anode, he named it as the anode rays or the positive rays. Okay, so is originated from the anode, so they called as the anode ray or the positive rays. Anode rays were found as a stream of positively charged particles. So like that he thought that the anode rays are always positively charged particles. Now, properties of the anode. Anode rays travel in straight line. Always the anode will be traveling in a straight line. Anode rays are made up of material particles. Anode rays are deflected by electric and magnetic fields. It will be always deflected by the electric and the magnetic fields. Since they are deflected means they will show the like moving. Deflection means moving, vibration, like that is called as deflection of the needle. Towards the negatively charged plate, they consist of the positively charged particles. They are moving towards the negative charge, that means it is having a positive plate particles. The properties of anode rays depend upon the nature of the gas taken inside the discharge tube. So what is the characteristics of the gas present inside the discharge tube only will say what type of what are the properties of the anode rays. Okay, the mass of the particle is the same as the atomic mass of the gas taken inside the discharge tube. So the mass of the particle always will be the same as that of the gas taken inside the discharge tube. So these are the properties of the anode rays. When hydrogen, do you know, when hydrogen gas was taken in a discharge tube, the positively charged particles obtained from the hydrogen gas were called as protons. So when the hydrogen gas was filled inside the discharge tube, so the positively charged particles inside that, it was called as protons. Each of these protons, why? Because protons are always positively charged. Each of these protons are produced when one electron is removed from the hydrogen atom. Whenever one electron was removed, one proton removed, the hydrogen atom was produced. Thus, a proton can be defined as an hydrogen ion. So, proton is called as an hydrogen ion. So, when a protons are produced, one electron is removed. So, when new protons are produced, one electron will be produced. So, hydrogen gas is called as the or a hydrogen ion. Okay, so the protons are called as the hydrogen ions. Now, next comes the neutrons. At the time of J.J. Thomson, only two fundamental particles, protons and electrons, were known. So when J.J. Thomson was doing his experiments, only two particles was the protons and electrons only was there. In the year 1932, James Chadwick discovered another fundamental particle called as neutron. So the third one was founded by Chadwick. But the proper position of these particles in an atom was not clear till the Rutherford described the structure of atom. Now, properties of neutrons. Neutron carries no charge. I told already in the beginning, neutron is not having any charge. It is always neutral. It is not having positive also charge, also negative charge. It is neutral. It has mass equal to that of the protons. So, it will be having the mass equal to that of the protons. That is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 24 grams. So, this is the charge of an proton. That is, it's the mass of an neutron. Okay, so what is the mass equal to that of the proton? So always neutron and proton will be having the equal mass, and it is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 24 grams. So now this is the tabular column. Properties of fundamental particles, electron, proton, neutron, they are given and their mass is given. Now next comes the Thomson atom model. So here is the atom model of the Thomson. See here the picture is shown here. So, J.J. Thomson, an English scientist, proposed the famous atom model in the year 1904, just after the discovery of electrons. So, just after the discovery of electrons only J.J. Thomson found the model of J.J. Thomson's model of atomic structure. It's very important, okay. Thomson proposed all the shape of an atom resembles a sphere having a radius of the order of 10 raised to minus 10 meter. The positively charged particles are uniformly distributed. So, he described it as all the positively charged particles are uniformly equally distributed with the electrons arranged as such a manner that the atom is electrically neutral. So, everything is equally distributed so that the atom is electrically neutral. How many protons are there? There's so much is electrons also. So, it is equally distributed, so it is neutral. Thomson's atom model was also called as the plum pudding model or the watermelon model. You can see here itself as a watermelon it is arranged. The embedded electrons resemble the seeds of the watermelon, while the watermelon's red mass represent the positively charged. So where all the seeds black color dots, he told that all is an electrons, and where all the reddish color it is shown that all is the protons. Okay. The plum pudding atomic theory assumes that the mass of an atom is uniformly distributed all over the atom. So the total mass is it is equally distributed all around inside the atom. Okay. Then now what is valency? What are the limitations of Thomson's atom model? What are the limitations? How far it was? We will say for everything there will be limitation for explanation. What was his limitations? Thomson model failed to explain how the positively charged sphere is shielded from the negatively charged electrons without getting neutralized. So what they asked, when the electrons, he told that how many electrons are there, the same the positive protons are also there. So he was not able to explain how these both positive and negative, how neutrally it is shielded around. It is kept inside in the neutral way. He was not able to explain further. That was his first limitation. Next one, this theory explains only about the protons and electrons and failed to explain the presence of neutral particle neutron. So he only told about the electrons and the protons, but he was not able to give a correct explanation for the neutrons or the neutral particles inside the atom. So this was the two limitations in the J.J. Thomson model of atomic structure. Now what is valency? In order to understand the valency of an element clearly, we need to learn a little about Rutherford's atomic model here. According to Rutherford, how he explained that an atom. An atom consists of subatomic particles, namely protons, electrons and neutrons. As per the Rutherford, all the three particles are present in an atom: protons, electrons and neutrons. In this, protons is positive, electrons is negative and neutron is neutral. Okay. Protons and neutrons are found at the center of the atom. He told, like a nucleus, both the protons and the neutrons will be always found in the center of the atom. Electrons are revolving around the nucleus in a circular path called the orbit or shells. See where that in the picture you see where the blue and yellow color is there, that is the protons and the neutrons. And around the orbit and where all the red color beads are shown, that all is the electrons, and they will be around revolving around this nucleus in a fixed orbit. Okay, an atom has a number of orbits and each orbit has electrons. Each atom will be having different orbits and each orbit will be having electrons also on that. The electrons revolving in the outermost orbit are called as valency electrons. So what are the electrons revolving around this on the orbit is called as the valency electrons. Okay. So the electrons revolving in the outermost orbit are called as the valency electrons. The arrangement of electrons in the orbit is known as electronic configuration. So this electronic, what is the arrangements of electron in this path is called as electronic configuration. Atoms of all the elements will tend to have a stable electronic configuration, that is they will tend to have either 2 electrons. They will be having either 2 electrons. Okay. Then or 8 electrons. They will be having either 2 or 8 electrons in the orbits. In their outermost orbit. In the outermost, how many electrons will be there? 2 or 8. For example, helium has 2 electrons in the outermost orbit and so it is called chemically inert. When it is having 2, helium is having only 2 electrons in its outermost orbit, so it is called as chemically inert. Similarly, neon is chemically inert because it has 8 electrons in the outermost orbit. So for each element will be having different electrons in the outer orbit. Since helium is having only 2 electrons, it is called as inert, chemically inert. But on the other hand, neon is having 8 electrons in the outermost orbit and they are also called as chemically inert. The valence electrons in an atom readily participate in a chemical reaction, and so the chemical properties of an element are determined by these electrons. So the chemical properties of the chemical properties of an element is always determined by these electrons found in the outermost orbit. When molecules are formed, atoms combine together in a fixed proportion because each atom has different combining capacity. So each atom is having different combining capacity for each element. This combining capacity of an atom is called valency. So the combining capacity of each atom is called as valency, or in other words, the definition is valency is defined as the number of electrons lost or gained or shared by an atom in a chemical combination. So this is the definition for the valency. So valency is defined as the number of electrons lost or gained or shared by an atom in a chemical combination. So that is the definition for valency. So types of valency, we'll go for that in the next class. Thank you, students.